Hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Hey, I'm so drawn to you. I'm so drawn to you. Yeah, yeah.
I'm hitting the bell right off the rip today. I ain't playing with it. Watch. Think I'm playing? I ain't. So anyway, why? Because I'm excited. I'm alive. I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. I'm humbled by how wonderful life truly is and much, much more. But what I'm most excited about right now is that right now, in real time, right now, in this moment, we are fulfilling one of the greatest promises, I believe, available. And that is the one that guarantees that when two or more of us comes together, we have a common mindset, a common heart set, and we understand that we are part of a collective soul set. When that happens, magic is on the table. Can I get an amen? Put it in the comments. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. And I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. Hey, welcome my sidekick. You know, she's here every day except for when she's in the dishwasher, which was yesterday. This is my sidekick, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. She's my version of Ed McMahon. That was once a person on a big TV show for you ones who are too young to know. You know who you are. Anyway, It's a great day in the neighborhood. Welcome to the 12th day of May. Moving it on through. What are your plans? Hey, I decided today. Tell me what you think I should plant in my garden this year. Remember, it's only the second year. I messed it up last year because, well, I didn't really. Yes, I did. I messed it up because you know me. I don't ever read the instructions on stuff. And I was putting plants. So I was like, these little bitty seeds. I know that they don't mean just one. So I poured the whole pack. Stuff was so close to you get it, right? So what should I plant as a starter gardener? A sophomore. I'm a sophomore gardener. I want to know. I had cucumbers last year. I'm going to do that again because those were successful. I want to try tomatoes, but I'm a little scared. Anyway, put in the comments. What are you going to put in your garden? Do you have a garden? Have you ever? Last year was my first time. I really loved getting out there and watching things grow. And then, when you harvest and prepare it, and it's just a really special thing. I'm glad I finally found it. How about you? Are you still rediscovering yourself? Are you still finding things that you haven't done? I hope so. The promise, another one of them says, if we seek, we shall find. And so get up and look for something that takes you from great to greater, bright to brighter, smart to smarter. That's it. That's all I got for the monologue today. What's that bell about? Well, it's not a clever gimmick, not a show prop. Oh, no, no, no. It is indeed a reminder also / opportunity, because just like that bell has a ring to it, guess what? So does the truth. That's right. And sometimes when we're busy and we're multitasking, it happens. Things get away from us. They run right past us, right? But when you hear the bell, it's to get you to tune in, listen up, and back the car up. You might want to take some of this ooey chewy goodness with you. Can I get an amen? So who's here today? Y'all already know, because I know that's why I put that post out there with her piece with the Nicki Minaj. And y'all, what Nicki doing on Lauren's page? Now, tricked you. Now, when you went in there and you saw it was Dr. Tanya Wiley-Brown. She was at the Power We Symposium. A lot of you watching right now, I see you out there. Good morning to you. Tanya was one of the keynote speakers at this past Power We, which was 2 weeks ago today. Man, how time flies. But you know what? What didn't fly away was the spirit that was picked up by so many. Every day I'm still getting calls and emails, and everybody's reporting about that experience. So Tanya's here today. Well, she also has a moniker. She's also known as Lady T. We're going to talk about that because you know what? It's a good thing Rick James ain't around, because he didn't play when it came to Tina Marie. He's going to be called, what you doing with my woman's name? Anyway, we'll talk about that and much more. But, she's a first timer. You know what we do here. We put our hearts every day, of course, into this illuminated conversation. But it's a first timer, so we welcome them in true Bathrobe Moment style by putting tons of hearts on the screen right now, because here she comes, Dr. Tanya Wiley-Brown. Uh-oh. Welcome to today's Bathrobe Moments. How are you?
I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed, and I am better than I deserve. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm glad you're here. How you been since 2 weeks ago when we last saw?
Doing very well, man. Just working like crazy, and still basking in the moment of all of those young scholars I had the pleasure of sharing time and space with. So
it was something else.
It was a good day.
It really was.
Yeah.
So listen, you've not been here before, and I didn't feel like, just reading the bio. I am going to show something here in a minute, but why don't you just let everybody get comfortable and take a couple passes here and just introduce yourself, tell everybody where you are in the world, and then we'll get started.
So I am Dr. Tanya Wiley-Brown, also known as Lady T, and we will talk about that. Right now, I am actually at home. I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's where I am based, and I spent a lot of time in the air and traveling around. But today, I am actually at home, so and certainly enjoying the time here. My daughter is going to be going to the prom this weekend. And so she would have had my neck, my head, and all of my other limbs if I had not been here to be with her for her prom. So yeah, it's just good to be here with you guys. So I don't hear you, Lauren. I don't know why I'm not hearing you.
I know why. Because I went out and
You're
did
good.
something. I went out and did something while you were doing that. I forgot that it tells on you if you don't remember. I was sneaking something that I wanted to show. So I guess that surprise has been ruined. So here we go. No, I just wanted to take a second and give, we'll watch some of this because she's here in real life, but I did want you to see a little bit about who she really is and what she really does. And let me see, is this the one? Wait a minute. I'm trying to find. Wait, hold on, y'all. You know I am not techie. You know anybody at NBC? I'm trying to get a show where I don't have to do this stuff anymore.
I know that's right.
All the clicking around and stuff. You see, I turned myself off. Okay, wait a minute. Think about it. Think about it. Okay, I know what we're gonna do. First, we're gonna watch this other clip because Tanya, talk about your company for a second. We're gonna. I know we said we're gonna talk about business on the second half, but I want to set up the early years of Tanya with this clip that I have. So talk about your company because you're the CEO, the founder. What is it and who is it? Where is it?
WCP Consulting and Communications, and we are based, of course, as I said, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But WCP stands for Wiley Creative Promotions.
Oh.
So a lot of people say, what does WCP stand for? So my husband and I have multiple conversations about the W because it's my last name. And I made a promise to my daddy, who's no longer here with us, that I would keep my last name and just hyphenate, right? So my husband and I have been together for 35 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yes, ring that bell, bell. 35 years we've been together, and we
must have had some game back in the day. I'm just saying. I bet they were like, dang, man, how you pull her? I already know.
No, the real deal is I pulled him. But anyway, we'll talk about that later offline.
Really? So it was you who you went after him?
You know, my husband is actually he's in electronics and he does electrical engineering, and he's a techie guy. So that technical stuff that you're having issues with, he could probably help you. But
well, I need a team.
Yeah. So but he's a musician as well. He's a musician. So when I was younger, much younger, I was 17, 16, 17. I was 17. I make it younger and younger to make him sound bad, but no, I was 17.
Okay.
And his band, their van broke down. And so they needed
There it is, y'all.
There it is.
You fell in love with one of a modern day, one of the 5 heartbeats.
Yeah, that's it. And they needed transportation. So they came to my bonus dad to borrow his truck. My bonus dad, being the wonderful person he was, said, well, Tanya, you're going to have to drive them. And I said, wait a minute. What do you mean I got to drive? I don't know these
Big
people.
mistake. So I'm kidding.
I'm raising all kinds of hell, and I'm fussing and, going to my mother and saying, Mom, I don't want to drive. These are men. I don't know these men. Of course, my mother was like, my daughter is not driving people.
A van full of men.
Right. A van full of men. So I'm looking out the window and I see my husband standing out there. And I said, who is that guy? And my bonus dad said, oh, that's one of the members of the band. I said, I'm driving. We've been together ever since.
Well, at least you followed your instincts and that was there. And speaking of, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to show a brief clip because I love this woman. I love her. And I love what she stands for and her legacy. It's a big piece. And it has a lot to do with women. It has a lot to do with women of color. So I wanted to open up. Let's just take a listen to it, and then I'll tell you why I'm setting this up. So here we go. Take a listen.
You were no question a first. You joined Morgan Stanley back in 1987. You became the first Black person ever, man or woman, to join the Morgan Stanley Management Committee. Your road here has not been an easy one, that's for sure. And you were told by people you could never make it here.
Sure.
You proved them all wrong.
Absolutely. And along the way, no matter who you are, there's always going to be detractors. But there were certainly people who said, you know, there's not anybody that looks like you that's doing what you're doing, you know, do your very best. But the one thing that you ought to know about me, Poppy, is that I am negatively motivated. So when you tell me I can't do something, I am all over it like a bad smell. And if anything, it really
I love that line.
even further to go forward, especially if somebody thinks that I can't do it.
Have you always been negatively motivated? I mean, walk us back to what your childhood was like
Yeah.
that made you that way.
Well, I'll say that I had, in my opinion, a great childhood because my parents brought me up in a no excuses household. So I could never make an excuse, oh, I didn't get that grade because the teacher didn't like me, or this happened, or that happened. So I could never really run to race or gender, you know, as the first base anyway, as to why something didn't happen. And the other thing that my parents did and that I thought was quite effective is that they always made me feel that I was supposed to do well.
Your parents, as you put it, didn't let you play.
Okay, so there you go. Just that. All the reason I use that was because there's so many similarities there. And so, and I always start this show with first timers going back to that same place that we just heard about there back when you were younger. So how much of that resonated with your own journey? And let's talk about, I'd like you to try to tell us at least one thing inside this passage that you would feel is still today a common misconception about your journey, what people assume, and this, that, and the other. So go ahead. Take it.
Well, you know, I joke and I kid about my husband and the relationship that I have with him. You know, again, we met when I was very young. I was 17. My parents, my mother was always very, very strict. Very strict. I mean, even when I was a young something playing in the yard with my friends, you know, when it started to get dark, you had to be in the house. You couldn't be outside.
Yeah, when the street lights come on.
Oh yeah, that's and it was even a running joke because everybody called me Little Tanya, right? Little Tanya when I was younger.
Little Tanya, you better get on home. You know your mama don't play. What you doing out here, Little Tanya? Right.
That's right. Right. And I mean, she would literally come outside in her robe and walk down the street. Oh yeah, she didn't play. My mother was that kind of mother. She ruled with an iron fist. And so, you know, even to today, now my mother is still here with me. I'm very fortunate that way. But even today, I mean, there's just certain things I won't say to my mother. I mean, if she says do it, you just right, exactly. You just do it. But you know, she taught me, and my father, they both taught me the value of hard work and mean what you say and say what you mean. You know, don't if you're not going to do it, don't say you're going to do it, because all we have is our word.
And be impeccable with it.
And when we give it, absolutely, we have to be impeccable with our word. That's the part of the 4 agreements, right?
Exactly. Very first one. So Tanya, when you were a little girl, though, what was it you aspired to be? What did you think you wanted to do when you grew up, and how much of that actually happened?
So well, let me answer, because I don't think I answered your first question. So let me answer your first question. Misconception. There's this misconception that life for me has been a crystal stair, and it has not been. I mean, people think that everything has been easy. They see the way that I live now, right? And they think that it's been easy, but they don't know where I came from. So now let's fast forward to today. You know, I think that even in the work, doorbell dogs. Doorbell dogs. Lost train of thought. Hold on a second.
Okay. I'll carry. Let me say hi to everybody while you take care of that. Hey, I see some of you have left me some ideas for my garden. Bell peppers and radishes. Lori, you know what? I think I will do both of those. Somebody else says, was it you, Robert? Yeah, something about some melons. They take up too much space. I don't have that much. I live in the suburbs. I ain't got a farm. I'm just saying. But maybe I'll try one little thing, right? So anyway, I think the dogs there. Is that everything?
Yeah, no, I didn't have to go. Someone else took care of it.
Oh, okay.
I just had to get them out of my office.
Oh, I know that's right. So,
Out of my
so where were we here?
You know what? I forgot the question.
Well, I got something for you. I got some. So I asked you when you were little, when you were a girl, like,
What did I
Carla
want to be?
Harris. I've had my aunt Carla Harris since the beginning of her career, simply because she was a mover and shaker early, and she had the same last name, and I hadn't found my family yet. So I was like, maybe I'm related to her. I like her style, right? And watched her do some incredible things. But who was it? Did you look up? Did you have an icon? Was it Oprah? Who was it that inspired you? That was like someone in the public eye? Because we all know our grandmothers and our mothers. Yeah, those people close. But who was that one out in the world that you looked at and said, "Huh, I wonder how she did that"? Who was that?
It's interesting. So I think your first question was, what did I want to be when I grow up, right? And I always wanted to be a lawyer. That's what I wanted. I want to really make a mark and do everything that I could to bring justice. And so the person really, and you're going to find this really interesting, but Harriet Tubman.
Oh, of course. I wrote an essay about her in 8th grade. Yeah.
Harriet Tubman. It's like, people say Harriet Tubman. I said, yeah, because, without her, I mean, it's all about freedom, right? It's all about freedom for us. The things that we do now and the freedoms that we enjoy now would not have been possible without those who shed blood and gave their lives for us. And Harriet Tubman was one of those. But I studied her and I looked at, the justice and the injustices. And I said, you know what? I want to be a lawyer when I grow up.
And did you?
So in my line of work, what we do is we help lawyers win their cases. I decided that I was on my way to law school, right? Attended Winston-Salem State University here in Winston-Salem. I went to undergraduate school. Yes, HBCU. Left there, went to George Washington University, was working at the U.S. State Department in law enforcement and intelligence. I was working in the extradition. I actually handled extradition cases. That's what I was doing, right?
Oh.
But I thought, this is not helping anybody. This is not something that I really want to do for the rest of my life. So I decided it was much more fun to tell lawyers what to do, and they actually listen. So my team, we help lawyers win their cases. We assess the cases at the very onset of the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go through and look at exactly what's happening with the case to determine whether or not it's a viable case, right? Is this a case that's winnable? Is this a case that should go to trial, or should the attorneys actually work towards settlement? If they decide they want to go to mediation on the case, right, to settle the case, we put together settlement videos. A day in the life is what they call it. And what that entails is us actually interviewing the folks who are, whether it's family members of the
litigants.
The litigants.
I learned that on court TV. Entering the courtroom are the litigants. Right. Okay.
Well, it's interesting because if someone falls down and breaks their leg, or if they get hit by a bus, I mean, you have those kind of small cases. We work cases where individuals are crushed by buses. They die.
I was going to say, getting hit by a bus ain't no small case.
We work those kinds of cases, and we actually interview family members, and we go in and talk to people who knew the individual before they were either injured or lost their life, right? And from that, we put together the assessment. We develop these settlement videos. We actually conduct mock trials and focus groups. And listen, our team actually came up with the E-focus group. E-focus group means that you conduct a focus group virtually, just like you and I are here virtually.
Sure.
That's what we do. And we were doing it long before COVID. So we didn't wait until COVID hit to try to come up with some sort of an option for doing it via the internet.
Right.
So we were having a hard time getting these lawyers to understand that this is an option for you. And it's a lot less expensive, because when we pack our team up and we have to travel to, Los Angeles or Vegas or, wherever it is we go, right? We even went to Ethiopia. When they had the Ethiopian plane crash, the Ethiopian Airlines, we actually went to Ethiopia because we were working with some of those families over there. So it's a lot less expensive doing things virtually. Well, when COVID happened, now all of a sudden our phones are blowing up because these lawyers remember, wait a minute, There was this young lady that was at one of our symposiums, and she talked about this virtual focus group. So now it's just like we stay busy dealing with that, but we also represent corporate clients as well in the areas of public relations and crisis management. So it's a lot of fun, the work that we do, but I am still working inside of the path that I initially wanted to work in when I was growing up. And I really do believe that the work that we're doing is making a difference. And you notice I don't say I use the word we because I believe in the power of we. I
That's
believe
the only way.
That's right. That's right.
That's why there's a problem. I see one promise about where make sure you stay all alone, and I promise you get this. I have found one. So I want to say this. I want to ask this rather. So this crisis management piece. Let me ask you because how often do you get to ask this question? So crisis management. That's like first person I go back to is what's her name? What's that girl from the movies about Mean Girls and stuff? What was her name? Got in all that trouble. Somebody, Sherry McQueen, you know what I'm talking about. Any Starlet, let's say any of them. So
Yes.
they, all that stuff to happen, they want to get it buried or this and the other. So how does a company like you, or you as the head of that company, when you are called in for that thing, like, we need to kill this story or that sort of thing, are there ever any ethical conflicts that come on your screen, your radar, that you have to say, wait a minute, no, you want me to lie to cover up a lie or that kind of thing? Talk about that so people understand that you have to be savvy at that to be successful at that, I would think.
Well, you do. You do. Absolutely. And you also have to align yourself with individuals on your team who understand. The first thing that we do when a person joins our team is we have them to sign a non-disclosure and confidentiality agreement, because the clients that we represent, that is very important. First of all, you're representing lawyers, and then the clients that you're working with for those lawyers, you have to have confidentiality agreements. And then there's HIPAA guidelines for some of the cases that we work in, right? Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, we've had celebrity clients come to us, right? Mm-hmm. Needing help with crisis management. I won't go into any details. Someone right. might be listening and think.
I know what that means.
And I would never give names, but I will say, the one thing that I learned from my dad, my father taught me that integrity is everything. Mm-hmm. And he used to say to me, sweetheart, not every dollar is meant for you.
All money ain't good money.
All money. He would say, not every dollar is meant for you. So he said, choose wisely. Choose wisely. Mm-hmm. And so I make sure that when we don't take every case. We don't take every client.
My point. That was my point. Yeah, I don't think you could.
We don't take every client. We will not, because we look at it, and I mean, there are some cases that we've taken and some clients that we've taken on where we've had to do some stuff. Yeah. But it's all about making sure, though, that in that process that you never compromise your own integrity. We would never do that. We would never, because listen, if I couldn't live with myself. I think one of the things that I talked about with the young folks at Power of We is that we have to always be able to look in the mirror, and the person looking back at you, if you're not satisfied with that person, then, the work that you're doing, it's all for naught. I have to be happy with myself. When I look back at myself, I got to know that, what I did yesterday, what I just did an hour ago, what I'm doing now, what I'm going to do tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. I'm good with it.
Right.
I'm good with it.
If you have no problem going to sleep and you're happy when you open your eyes, that's a pretty good indicator you've bookended the day. Listen, speaking of bookends, you stay right where you're at, because we need you here all the way through today's interview. We'll be back in about 60 seconds with more. And when we come back, I want to talk with Dr. Tanya, Lady T, about her experience at the Power of We. Don't go away. Great time to share out this broadcast. Be right back. Hey, welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. So happy you're here. I'm Laura Michaels Harris. And before we get our guest, Dr. Tanya Wiley-Brown, back, I wanted to tell you, the weather is changing, the seasons are changing, and I have changed 2 years now from something that didn't serve me, i.e. Diet Coke, and replaced it with this, V8. I love it. It's easy peasy to find. It's right down the juice aisle at your local grocer. Every one of these cans is 2.5, used to be 2. Now it's 2.5 servings of vegetables, 100% vegetable juice from concentrate, and only, get this, 60 calories for every one of these babies. Grab yours today. Don't wait till it's too late, and you say, oops, I could have had a V8. Get yours today. You won't be sorry. Dr. Tanya's back. Wait a minute, that was good. How are you? Welcome
Listen,
back.
my husband used to live on V8.
I love it.
When I met him, that was his refrigerator, and I went to his house, right? And he said, "Go on in and get you something to drink." So I opened the refrigerator, and it was lined with V8s.
Ew.
Like, what in the world?
You don't like it?
No, I do like it, but I mean, there was nothing else in his refrigerator.
I know.
Water and
It's
V8.
got everything. I feel him. Hey, well, thank you for that, because I'm serious, and I was drinking it long before they were a sponsor. So, V8, thank you. How's that? So I wanted to talk about your experience at the Power We, and then we'll work our way up to the topic of your keynote. But let's start with this juxtaposition question, if you will. Everyone comes to the Power We expecting or anticipating or hoping for or whatever, thinking one thing, but they always walk away knowing the real thing. So tell us how that come in, go out experience was for you.
I often say people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And at the Power of We symposium, it was very clear that every single person who was in the room, they cared about these young scholars. And so I left certainly with something that I did not come with. Obviously, I hope and I believe that, I know that I imparted a bit of knowledge that when the students left there, they left with something they didn't come with because they were texting me, after. So I will stay connected with those young people, and I will track them and follow them. I received messages from a number of the students who want to go to law school. And so I actually have 2 books, and we've sent books to some of those students.
Awesome.
Who want to be lawyers. So it's a wonderful feeling when you can go into a room of young people and they embrace you. Young people are peculiar. I mean, teenagers I have a 17-year-old, and I remember when I was 17, and it's a little different now than when I was growing up, because what they're experiencing is, while, they say that things change, but they remain the same. That is true. But I think that a lot of the challenges that young people deal with now are a bit different than the challenges we dealt with because of the gun violence and the drugs and the, things like that. It's different.
Well, and yeah, all those things, and you got to factor in COVID, because I heard more than anything from the kids who came up, and I think I spoke to probably half of them face to face, because that's what I go for. Seriously, yeah. I get every drop that I can from it. It's like a youthful spirit. It just pours so much. It's an elixir to me. And one of the things that they kept reminding me of over and over was that, we haven't been anywhere in 2 years with school. We were freshmen. I had seniors saying we were freshmen the last time we went somewhere as a school group. And they were just so, fellowship. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So let me ask you something. People can point back, most of us, if not all of us, can point back to that one person who somewhere when you were that young person, like the ones at the Power We Symposium, that said something, did something, gave you something to read or something to chew on that really helped shape you into the person you are today. So who comes to mind for you? Now that's a little different than that other question about who inspired you, but this is the
Right.
person that you actually talked with or had that something. Who was that for you?
A young lady by the name of Charisma.
Oh, at the Power We Charisma?
That is correct.
The
That is
Charisma's our girl. You see, she was on the banner.
a young
And,
lady by the name of Charisma.
Yeah,
You know, if
y'all
you're
know Charisma.
so let's talk about Power of We. You know, Power of We. You know, who impacted me there? I had the pleasure of having dinner with Charisma, and you know, and she is just a bright light.
She is.
Just a bright light.
She is.
But she shared some things with me that you know, I won't repeat those things, but it's just the connect that the connection that we have and that we had there during Power Week was absolutely amazing. And so that's something that I will never, ever, ever forget. I know that she and I will always stay connected.
Charisma is a friend to everybody that's out there watching you all. Well, because she was featured in our commercial for 7 months. And every time somebody talked about it, they said, who is that girl, that young lady in there that says everybody can quote her? In order to change our community, we needed to hear this. And so with her being at our very first one and coming back and having blossomed so into something so wonderful. Charisma's a celebrity around these halls. So let's move over to the side of the table about the monies available. Let's talk about that scholarship thing, the piece, the Lewis. Take that and let people know, because there may be some people out there that weren't at the Power We or don't know about this. And some young scholars, some of color, some Black men in particular, who are in need of an opportunity to find their way into a great school with no debt, or very little. So talk about that scholarship, the F. Lewis.
So there's a program that, and I'll lay the backdrop for this. There is an attorney, and everything comes full circle because, when the work that we do, it always results in another blessing. Mm-hmm. God blesses us to be a blessing unto others, right? And
that's what I believe.
When we embrace that and when we follow his lead, then what happens is bountiful blessings just continue to roll in. I mean, we have to embrace it. And so the Reginald F. Lewis Educational Equity Initiative was actually born out of a relationship that I and my team that we established with a young man by the name of James Carter. I'm going to introduce you to James Carter at some point. James Carter is a lawyer by trade. He's also a former city council member in the city of New Orleans, and he was partially responsible for helping to rebuild New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina came in and devastated, it was devastating for a lot of folks in Louisiana. And so he and I got together, and I met him through another attorney that I work with, Willie Gary. You probably know that name, Willie Gary, the giant killer. Willie Gary is that attorney that has the planes and, and won the $23.6 billion verdict against the tobacco industry. And so I was working with
and lived to tell about it.
And is still living to tell about it. That's right. And so he and I went into Louisiana. We were working on another case, and a crane collapse case. And I had the pleasure of meeting James Carter as a result of that case. And so we just became fast friends. WCP Consulting and Communications now represents James Carter. James Carter works with the Cochran firm. And James Carter also sat on the board of the University of Louisiana system, which is comprised of 9 universities. And so James Carter and I started talking, and we said, you know what? How awesome would it be if we could develop a program that would help UL system to increase their enrollment, right? First of all, but would also afford individuals who are coming in an opportunity to get an education without having to come out of their pocket with a whole lot of money. Because we all know that it's expensive to go to school, it's expensive to go to college. And so I said, yeah, but it needs to have some meat to it. It needs to be named after someone who paved the way and made a difference. And who better than Reginald F. Lewis, who is no longer with us. He,
Right.
left at age 50, but guess what?
Okay.
He lived more life in 50 years than most of us live in 100.
Okay. I love that. So now that's the name, but what's behind it? So let's talk about, because hold on, if there's some parents here, some aunties, some uncles, some friends, some allies of a kid of color who deserves an opportunity, what are we looking at here? Without looking at the whole portfolio, exactly what's available there? Let's just break it down.
So it's the Reginald F. Lewis Educational Equity Initiative, which is different than the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program. So that's why I wanted to lay the foundation, what the initiative is. So the initiative is geared toward, masses of individuals. The Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program is geared toward young African-American males.
Okay. And what's it got for them?
And once an individual enters an institution inside of the University of Louisiana system, they then qualify, right, to become a Reginald F. Lewis Scholar.
So they have to be accepted into one of the universities first.
That is correct.
Okay, so getting your applications in is number one. Okay, once they're in, now what happens?
Once they're in, then at that point, they start looking at how do I become a Reginald F. Lewis Scholar? And then they are partnered with another scholar who's already there. That person becomes a mentor, right, to them. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, the person who is actually at their institution, because again, remember, there's 9 institutions. Yeah. So every institution has an advisor or a facilitator is what they call them, that's set aside to work with these students. So the beauty of it is once they get into the institution, they don't just go there and then they're on their own. They got to figure it out. They are actually paired with a facilitator who is a part of the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program. And that person helps to oversee their education, make sure their grades stay up. Mm-hmm. And there are monies available. Now, it depends on the scholar in terms of the amount of money that they will get. And in many cases, these students are getting a full ride.
You mean before they get there or after?
After they get there.
So how does a person? So this is kind of in reverse. We're accustomed to getting scholarships awarded prior to going to the school, but this seems to come after. So what happens to the kid who says, "Okay, I need this much money to make it through this year"? Do they try to match the need with what's available? How does it work?
That is correct. They will match the need, to match. So listen,
it's so different for every student.
It is every school has different scholarship opportunities. What I would suggest to parents is right, you want to apply for every single thing. My daughter is 17. She's a junior right now. She's going to be going to college. And I tell her all the time,
everything.
You got to apply for everything. Just throw the bucket of water out there and just see which wall it sticks on, because there you can get a massive amount of just $500 and $1,000 scholarships that will add up to be tremendous.
Right, take a big chunk out.
But the beauty of the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program and this entire initiative, for that matter, the beauty of that is that once these students are there and they tag on to this program, right?
Yeah.
At that point, they can get a full ride. They can travel abroad. I mean, that
was my next point. That's on the list. Talk about that, because a lot of our kids of color, don't really consider that an option.
That's right.
Where their counterparts of other ethnicities. I know my PT, his son, first choice was all these places all around Europe. And I was like, I wonder how many of our kids do that. So talk about that. Because some of your scholars got to go, I think, where was it? France, Paris?
To France. Yes,
Okay.
yes. And of course, Reginald F. Lewis, one of the things that I think it's important to mention, TLC Beatrice Foods International was at one point headquartered in France. And so that's tremendous. And so these students had an opportunity to travel over to France, all expenses paid, their flights, their hotel, their, all of that, food expenses, all of that was covered through the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program. One of the things that we're working on with the institution is identifying corporate sponsors. Verizon is a corporate sponsor for the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program. Okay, so we're working on massive sponsors like that. And what I want to do, because you said it yourself, what I want to do is make sure that these individual students, when they decide, listen, I want to go to McNeese in UL system, or I want to attend Grambling, whichever school it is they decide they want to go to.
Yes.
What I would like to have happen, right? And that's what we're working on, is Verizon or, Delta or whatever corporate sponsor it is, they partner and they say, listen, we're going to set aside X number of dollars, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever the amount is for this particular student to help them throughout there, so that they have a full ride from the time they enter until the time that they come out. And that's where it really counts, Lauren, because you made a very good point. A lot of these students come from families where they just really can't afford. And so they don't even see college as an option because they can't afford it, right? They can't afford it. So they say, well, I'm going to go to a community college because even if I get in, I can't afford the housing, the room and board. We want all of that to be covered.
A question somebody out there may be asking next is, so let's say my son or grandson or nephew or whomever gets in, is there and receives something 1 year. Is it renewable? Do they have to start over every year?
No. Once they get in and they are a part of this scholars program, they are in it.
Great.
And they follow, and they actually follow this student from the time that they become a Reginald F. Lewis scholar until the time that they graduate. So the first cohort has actually gone through, and the entire cohort, that's 18 students right now, they're going to be going to Paris. I'm actually traveling over to France with them in March.
How many have come out? Or is it so new that you haven't even had the first round come out the other end yet?
The first round has not graduated. The first cohort is still in.
So that means, I don't know, I was like cohort. I thought that was a friend. So what's the cohort? Hey, 12th grade, y'all. I'm just saying. Look, but
there you go.
Okay, so it's a group. So are you saying these are like the beta testers, the first group to go through this first cohort?
That is correct. And now they've actually brought their second group in. So there are 18 additional students who have entered the program, and they have their Black Male Summit. It's called the Black Male Summit, and it's actually going to be June the 15th through the 16th in Monroe, Louisiana. And I'm going to be going over. And so Dr. Loida Lewis, who is the widow of Reginald Lewis, her daughter, Christina Lewis, who founded All Star Code, the plan is to have both of those individuals there, if not Loida, at least a Christina. And at the pinning ceremony, we want one of them to actually pin the new scholars who are coming in, because you now have 18 new scholars. So there will be a total of 36 now who have actually been indoctrinated into the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program.
So the first cohort, they have like really 2 more years in front of them.
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, actually, some of them only one, because some of them, actually entered the program when they were
already. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we should be able to hear. That'd be, man, you guys should do a documentary. It'd be great to hear from these kids the journey through there. So Lauren,
we just left. It's funny you should say that. I just left Louisiana, and that's what we were doing. We were actually filming individuals from the first cohort.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah,
be looking forward. That's
yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
if people want to find out more, what would be the best way?
About the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program?
Correct.
Yeah. So, of course, the University of Louisiana system, going on UL System's website, UL System,
Okay.
UL System, and they have information on their website about the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars Program. But certainly, I am always available. I'm going to drop my email address here as well, so that anyone who wants
Drop
to.
that in the comments.
Yes.
And it'll go straight in. And Sharon McQueen, I know you're out there. Good morning, all. Could you go ahead and grab that UL Systems URL and drop it in the comments? If not, we'll make sure we drop it in at the conclusion of today's interview. Real quick, just want to say, give a shout out to all of you out there. Hello, all you top fans. You're looking beautiful today. Welcome back, Lori Whitney. How are you? And also Tia Rogers, Grand Rising to you as well. Robert Brooker from Canada. Nice to see you. And there's many others. Who else? Oh, I got to hit all that. Sharon McQueen, love your face. Julius Mercer. I saw that article about you still holding that track record all these years. Congratulations. Julius Mercer's in the house, you guys. If you haven't checked in with him, you need to. He's got a wonderful book out there and an awesome story. Walter Thomas Jr., first time here. I believe you came with Dr. Tanya today, so nice to see you here. And Bernadette, how are you? And the rest of you, not to slight you, but can't say hi to all of you, but I love you, all of you. I do. Listen, before we start wrapping it up, thank you so much, Sherry McQueen. I knew I could count on you. There it is. And it's also, Sherry has dropped it there in the comments. At the conclusion, head over and take a look and forward that information to the young Black scholars in your world. So, Dr. Tanya, what is on the horizon for you down the road? Let's just stay inside the year 2022. What can we expect as we move on down the road?
So, I'm working on finishing up my book.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She travels and locks herself in a hotel room. I caught her once. Right. But I think you went to Canada.
I did.
I was like, what happened to the roadway in next door? You got to go all the way to Canada, man. Okay, Stephen King does that stuff. So
listen, and you know what? And it's so funny because I had to get buy-in from my husband and my daughter on this one. And I knew it was going to be a tough sell because I went there for my birthday, right? Oh. And I said, listen, all I want to do for my birthday is finish my book. That's all I want to do.
Okay.
So, and it was wonderful. I went to Canada. It was snowing. My birthday's in March. It was snowing. It was very cold. So I was able to lock myself in my room, open the window and look at the falls, and just work on my book, have the fire going. The fireplace was going. And
so I'm almost
there. I'm almost there.
Can you say anything about it?
Absolutely. The title of the book is Taming the Beast. Unleashing Your Hidden Potential. Taming the beast. Because
you have a launch date?
We are, and I love using the word we because I'm hoping that my people are listening in. We anticipate having everything done by the end of the year. And
awesome.
we want so at the top of the year 2023, we want this to be released
out and in the hands.
Yes. So I'm very excited. There's another book that I have been working on. I mean, these have been labors of love for me. But the story of Daryl Hunt is one that, a lot of people know about. Daryl Hunt was actually incarcerated for almost 20 years for raping and murdering a white female reporter here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. A documentary was released on his story. And it's interesting because when I was at Winston-Salem State University, Daryl Hunt was one of the individuals I connected with. And so I became his publicist. And so his book, I have his prison journals, and we worked on this book. He is no longer with us. He's now deceased, but his book is going to still come out. And
there you go.
Yes. So
Real quick, I love your face and missed it too, Ross McCreary, all the way up in Canada, along with Robert Brooker, also in Canada. Michelle Nordoff, we didn't forget you. We see you up there in Canada. So our Canadians are in the house today. Thank you
yay! All
for
right.
representing.
I'm coming back real soon.
Well, as Ross says, their door is always open up there. Thank you, Ross. I hope you're feeling better. Go to my Calendly link, Ross, and book some time. I want to find out how you're doing. Let's talk. So there we go. Well, as we get out of here, I just want to say thank you again for everything you brought to the Power of We Symposium and everything that you were willing to take from the Power of We Symposium and coming here today. It's been a pleasure. Listen, when you're ready and you got some new stuff you want us to know about, you have the turnstile invitation, which means our door is always open. So we thank you for that. And shout out to Tori Stout, which is Dr. Tanya's wonderful assistant. I just love her to death. She feels like a niece. She's incredible. So shout out to all of the team over at WPC who really helped knock it out of the park with the Power of We Symposium. And speaking of knocking it out of the park, thank you all. Thank you so much. You honor me and you honor what I dream to become every time you give me some of your life and allow me to give you some of mine. This year's theme is Show Me Your Soul, and I'll show you mine. I certainly hope we did that for each other today. Tomorrow, come on back. The experts are back after 30 days. We're going to find out what's going on in their world, and they're bringing some new things for you as we move into the summer months. Dr. Tanya, thank you again. A true blessing. And tell your husband we said hello. He can come on here too if he'd like to.
well, I'm sure he's listening in, so you can say hello yourself.
Oh, hi, Miss Brown. You're welcome here anytime. Let me know.
Well, Walter Thomas, thank you. That's my daughter's godfather. So you mentioned his name earlier.
Oh,
so-
yeah. Thank you all so much. We fulfilled the promise yet again. Meet me out front tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central, God willing, and we'll have another one of these illuminated conversations right here on Bathrobe Moments. Now get out there and be the blessing you want to see. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Tanya. Bye-bye.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you.